Hello, Nick here again. And this phases of the moon video, as opposed to my last video, I want to make it short and sweet. The only way the phases of the moon video, or the only way that you can demonstrate the phases of the moon, is if the sun is the only light that we see reflected on the moon. The moon's only light is derived from the sun. And in fact, if you track the moon, if you take videos of the moon, you'll see that the light always tracks in the direction of the sun, day or night, in a globe model. Not a flat earth model, a globe model. The earth is a globe. It is rotating. And the moon is a globe, and it orbits the earth. And the back end, the side that's not lit up, is always facing away from the sun. I'm going to call it the dark side of the moon. We've been over this. I'm going to call the side of the moon that is always facing away from the earth the far side. The far side of the moon and the dark side of the moon. Got it? Okay? So, to demonstrate the phases of the moon, okay, we have to look from the perspective of the earth, the globe earth. So we're looking at the perspective of the globe earth, and we're looking at a half moon from the equator. Now, what do we see when we look at a half moon? We only see sort of 1/4 slice of a globe, as if you took an orange, cut off a quarter of it, and that's all you see, because there's no background to distinguish the dark side of the moon, so you don't see it. You can't see through it. You can't see a star through it. I've never taken a picture where I could actually see through the moon. Okay? So you can see we're looking at what we call a half moon. But you're actually only looking at a quarter of it, because the other half is over here. Alright, that's a full moon. But the moon hasn't changed. I haven't moved it. How do we get a full moon? Okay. So how do we get a full moon from a half moon to a full moon and haven't changed the position of that moon? Well, it's because it's the perspective that you get. It is perspective. It's a perspective of what you get when you're on Earth. As the moon goes around in its orbit, it changes your perspective of the moon. It doesn't change the light on the moon. The light doesn't have some sort of electronic device that changes the light of it, like a disco ball or something that's controlled by an electronic device. You can't demonstrate this. You can't demonstrate the phases of the moon with a flat earth model. So we have a flat earth model, and I'm going to demonstrate the phases of the moon just by changing our angular perspective of the moon. So the moon is going around in its orbit, and our angular perspective from the earth is changing. Okay? And you can see we went from a half moon to seeing more of the dark side of the moon. And you can see all of a sudden we got a quarter moon. Okay? I went, you know, I went around, okay. All you're seeing, the only perspective is you're getting is that you're seeing more of the dark side of the moon and less of the lit side of the moon. And it's spherical. If it wasn't spherical, if it was some sort of flat object, it wouldn't be a sphere anymore. It'd be some kind of oval thing. And we know a golf ball is not oval. Okay, when you're looking directly this way, all you're seeing is dark side. We call it the void of course moon or the new moon. Okay, you can't see it because all you're looking at is the dark side, like you're looking into a dark, something dark that you can't see. All right, the only reason why we can see part of it is because I can't change the lighting in the room. So as we come around here, notice the moon hasn't changed, and we're seeing more of the lit side as we come around. But the moon hasn't changed. The dark side hasn't changed. The lit side hasn't changed. Okay. See, we got a quarter moon, but on the other side I marked 2. Okay. Now, if you were looking at the sun, and if I darken the left side, I'm looking at the earth and the moon together. If I darken that left side of that ball, what would you see? You would see the same thing, but the perspective of the moon. In any case, you'd see the dark side of the earth. See, all you're seeing is more of the lit side and less of the dark side. Come around this way. And here we get to what we call the full moon. But it's not. It's always been full. The moon, the lit side is always full, and the dark side is always a new moon. It's just our perspective of it that's changing. So in one respect, Flat Earth is right. It's all about perspective. Our perspective from a globe Earth. That's what we're seeing. Our angular view of the moon is changing because the moon is going around us, but it's always lit up halfway. It's only our perspective that is changing. And you can see when you come back around to the half moon position. Okay. So the moon is not electronic. It's not some hologram. Its natural state is 1/2 is lit up by the sun and 1/2 is not, because 1/2 is blocking the light to the other side. We call the shadow side of the moon, the dark side of the moon. Okay, Nick out.